So today we're going to talk about doing TPN in the home setting. TPN is total parenteral nutrition, which is all of your food IV. The next thing I want to talk about is if you have TPN running and for some reason you have to stop your TPN and disconnect briefly to do something. And this comes to play more for patients who have continuous TPN. Normally patients who have the cycled TPN know that they have their 12 or 14 hours where they're hooked up, and that's usually through the night. And then during the day, they're disconnected and they can take their showers, change their clothes, and do the things they need to do. But if you did have to stop your TPN briefly to do something, we're going to talk about that. So if that had to happen for me right now, I would open this up and I would turn off my TPN. I would hit pause and off. And it would turn my pump off. And then I would put on my gloves. And depending on how long I'm going to be disconnected, this is very briefly, I might not even flush. Just a couple of minutes is the way I'm going to do this. If you're going to do this for longer than a few minutes, you're going to also have to flush your line. But I'm going to make this where it's just going to be for a minute or two because maybe I need to change my shirt or do something and disconnect. So I'm going to clamp both tubings, the one to my pump and the one to my IV line. And I have to have something sterile to put on the end of each of these pieces while I do what I need to do. The green caps go on my patient IV line, and this is a red cap that's made to go on my IV tubing. So I'm going to get my green cap ready. I'm going to disconnect and put my green cap on my IV line. And then without touching the top of this, I'm going to open up my sterile red cap, touch it on the sides, and this skinnier piece fits on my IV tubing. Now my IV tubing I can put aside and I can have this ready to now do what I need to do to be disconnected. If I think I'm going to be longer, again, you have to flush and use your saline and perhaps even heparin. TPN, once it's been gotten to room temperature, is only good for about 24 hours. So if you are disconnecting for hours at a time for some reason, which should be very rare, realize you only have about 24 hours from the time you've spiked this bag to use it. If you go longer than that, you have to throw it away. The next thing I'm going to talk about are the ways to keep an eye on your PICC line and monitor for any problems with your PICC line with TPN.